And hello to all friends, Potato is with you. This is the 5th part of the Botany Fashion Guide for version 1.16.5. But before you start watching, be sure to subscribe to me and click on the bell so as not to miss new videos. And today, we are finally going to look at the mana management section with you to the end. Namely, what we did not consider in the last part. These are lenses. Lenses are both ordinary and elven. In general, what are lenses? Lenses are such pieces of glass that are put on our distributor and give some effects to the flow of mana. Let's say we have an ordinary lens, the most ordinary one, which we craft in my opinion even just out of glass. Yes, here it is made of glass, and also for ingots of monastal. It doesn't actually do anything, but we can paint it in any color by simply connecting the lens with the die in the workbench. And in this way, we will get some kind of lens. Let's say in this case it is a purple lens. And what will be done? Let's push the lever here. This is our red mana distributor, and here you can see the purple mana flow. Let's take another look at this. I press the lever and here it flies. It is simply painted and no more buffs are applied here. The next lens is the speed lens. We can look at the range here. We are doing a little less, even 4 blocks. I would say this is significant in this case. Well, look what's going on. Here we have a faster mana flow. Let's compare it now with this one here. At the same time, we press approximately and look, the stream flies much faster than the first one. But here, as you may have already understood, we pay with the flight range of this stream itself, because after this point, it will just dissipate. The next lens is the potential lens. Look, it flies a little less than an ordinary lens. Here, it is our first, but here the flow will be much more powerful. Let's take a look at it. Here he is, look at this hop flying, and this flow will be more powerful than with a conventional lens. That is, more mana will be transferred. And by the way, mana from this lens becomes as much as twice as much. Then, there is the resistance lens. Let's look at its range. Here it does not end, and its ending is about twice as large as that of a conventional distributor. In other words, let's just see now how the stream will fly. So we release it, and it keeps flying, and so far, it doesn't lose itself in any way. But after this point, it still disappears. This lens can be useful in some large schemes, where it is very important that mana simply does not evaporate. Then, there is the efficiency lens. Let's see where the beam starts to dissipate. Namely here, it is about the same as the usual one. But look what the joke is, that after this point, the signal to be much slower disappeared. Let's take a look at it now. So I activate it, and look, now it's all flying. Here we have a point where it starts to diverge a little, but in the end, it still retains itself, and even it is now visible, and somewhere here, it is already dissipating. Then, there is such a messenger lens. This lens will create a very weak stream, but it will fly very far. Let's just look at it now. Here he is flying all the time, flying very fast. The beam is flying, and here he is still flying. Yes, further and further away, and here it will be dispelled right now. Look here, it's all gone here. And here, by the way, is the point when it begins to dissipate already. It is very far from this distributor. The next lens is called a rebound. This lens will create a flow of mana that will bounce off the blocks. Let's put it here, let's say hop, and look, we have such a signal flying, and Oppo is reflected, it flies backwards. And look here, it will also be seen if we put it a little further away, let's somewhere here. Look, here's the scattering point right here. But this is the point of dispersion, when everything is already reflected. The next lens is called the gravity lens. It will create gravity for our mana flow. Let's say we do this like this, and send our distributor here. In other words, we select the distributor and also the block. Everything's great. We have directed, now we are releasing mana, and look, mana is flying like this, in such an arc, very interesting. And in the end it dissipated here. That is, this lens gives it gravity. The next lens is called drilling lenses. It will, as it is clear for the title, but break blocks. Let's say we put 3 blocks here, and release our beam. Hop, and all 3 blocks break. It is very convenient to use this in some farms. Then comes the lens damage. As it is clear, it will cause some damage to the invocation, but not with a block, but with any living beings. Let's say, look here, we have a creeper. Hop, and we release a stream of mana. And moreover, the creeper suffered as much as 2 damage of 8, and as a result, there were 4 HP left. This lens can be used in some farms, mobs in farms, and very cool, because here consider that for 1 release of mana, as much as 16 damage is inflicted, which almost kills mobs. Then, there is the lens of ghostliness. This lens will create such a flow of mana, which will pass through the blocks. Let's put such a barrier here in 3 blocks, right in front of the stream, and look, it flies perfectly. But by the way, the distance, when all this begins to evaporate, decreases by as much as 3 blocks. That is, 1, 2, 3, and now even 4. Well look, when I broke the blocks, it increased. Then comes the lens by magnetism. This is a lens that will release a stream that will be attracted to the nearest blocks that require mana. Let's say we put it here. Mana is not even in the direction of this distributor. Let's also put it here, and let's assume in the direction. Now let's see what happens. Look up, we have a stream being released here, and it is directly redirected to this pool. We break this one. Now we release it, and it is redirected here. And now finally, let's do this straight in a straight line, and he flies straight into this pool. Then, there is a lens called entropy. This is a pretty dangerous lens, so let me distinguish a little. I'll put a block somewhere here. I hope it will fly here and we'll see. We release this beam, and now it will fly, and something will happen. There will be an explosion. In this case, it's not so big, because it has already begun to dissipate. But if we put it somewhere here, let's do it anyway. We are releasing a stream, and now there will be an explosion like this. Then, there is a lens called impact. This is quite an interesting lens, because it will attract experience, shot, and also even falling blocks with it. Let's say we smash everything here like this, throw out 100 seeds, even 100 seeds, and now activate this case. Look, here is such an unknown force that literally pushes both knowledge and experience in that direction. Let's try to organize this whole thing also with falling blocks. I don't even know if it will work out now or not, but we'll try it anyway. So we release and do it. Oh yes, look at what we did. Just like that, the sand is flying quite interestingly here. Then, the mass lens. This lens will give mass to any blocks, that is, like sand. Let's say look, we have such a block of turf, under which let's pull out here such a hole for deep. Now let's let this beam in here, and look, it affects this block, and it literally falls. We can even do it with, say, a th. Will it work out by the way or not? Let's try it. Well, let's lower the mana here. And no, it doesn't work on bedrock. Then the lens is arson. As it is clear behind the title, this lens will set fire to everything in its path. That is, let's say we have a block here, and now we launch this beam, and just create a fire. Then, the power lens. This lens will simply move the block in front of it like a piston. Let's let out a stream of mana here, and watch what happens now. It's just that this turf moves one block forward, literally like a piston. Only such a piston at a distance, let's say. And finally, the last lens, not counting the elven ones, is the flash lens. When the stream is created by this lens, it will meet some block, such a flash will be created. Let's take a look at it. Here it is, literally like in a Vorsmagic. When you get tired of it, you can just break it. Then, there is a lens called a paint reflector. We can paint this lens in any color. By the way, we already have an elven lens, and it will create a flow that will color blocks that can be colored. Let's say we have wool. We create a stream, and look at us, the whole thing crashes, and all these blocks are colored orange because this lens was orange. Then, there is a lens called distortion. This is a very interesting lens. It will only work with a power relay. Look, we are putting a power relay in the path of the mana flow, let's say here. Now, it will be necessary to bind this power relay to any unit. Let's say let's put a block of turf here. Click here PCM, and here PCM. Thus, here we have such a binding. Now we press the lever, and here we have the mana flow absorbed by this relay, and in general, it should move here to the block. But, let's say we break it, and here, we get a binding to the air, and now we are doing the same flow again. And for some reason, this case still doesn't work for me. I do not know why, but according to the plan, the stream should simply be retransmitted in this block, to which we have it tied, and fly on. That is, he just teleports, like here he enters, and somewhere here, he appears, and goes out flying further. Why it doesn't work like that for me, I do not know. Maybe it's just such problems with the version. Then, there is a rather interesting lens. Honestly, I don't know where to apply it. It is called redirection. Look, we have, let's say, a distributor like this. We put it on the path of the mana flow up, and now we just activate the lever, the mana flow flies here, and deploy this distributor in the direction of the distributor from which this stream flew out. Let's take another look at this. Here we have distributors looking to the left now. Now again, we are making a stream, and now it will turn. Here he is, look, turned around. I do not know where to apply it, but if you know, then be sure to write in the comments. I'm really very interested. Let's say the next decorative lens is called a celebration. Look, if we have a mana flow with this lens meets some kind of block, then this kind of fireworks will be created, which we will have very conveniently this high. Yes, it flies very high, probably about 40 blocks or so, and explodes there. We can create so much by the way, see how. Oop, it's a beauty in general. Then, there is another decorative lens called splash. If we deactivate this lever now, then look, we will create such a flow of mana, which even in my opinion does not fill the pools. Well yes, look, here it does not fill the pools, it's just a decoration like that. And it will be the same color as we paint this lens. And the last lens that you can craft is called a stretch. Look, now I'm going to take this pool of mana, and put it right here on the way. And now if any living being passes through here, even let's say I am, then consider what is happening. Mana flow is released here. It can be read with the help of a mana detector, and let's say, some kind of trap is launched with the help of all this. That is, look, I'm going through here again and again, such a flow of mana is created. And never again. Quite an interesting lens. I think it can be applied somewhere again in the construction of traps. And finally, the last lens is called a storm. This is a creative lens. There is no way to craft it, and it looks quite banal, like an ordinary lens. Well, let's compare it again quickly. Oops. Yes, it's really like an ordinary lens. Absolutely transparent and generally simple. But look, here by the way, her range also does not differ in any way. And why is she creative? What is she doing? Let's put a block right here, so that we have this whole thing cut into it as far as possible, because now there will be an explosion, and quite a powerful one. And look, here is such an explosion, literally like the Tata entropy lens, or as it was called before, in my opinion entropy. Only the explosion is stronger here. Well, in general, here they are all our lenses. I think that in everyday life, you will probably use only the first 5 lenses, because the rest are very peculiar. Well, there was a potato with you. Be sure to subscribe, like, write comments, and also click on the bell so as not to miss new videos.